Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Witterick, and I'm a mental health counselor with the Hamilton Family Health Team. And thank you for joining us for this webinar series on supporting health and wellness in children and youth. Today, we will be talking about how to develop a healthy foundation for our children and youth. So today we're covering topics such as lifestyle factors, such as nutrition, physical activity, sleep, and social connections, and their association with the promotion of mental health and wellness. When we think about lifestyle factors, small changes can have a tremendous influence over time. And when we use these small changes in combination with areas such as nutrition and physical activity, sleep, and social connection, it can absolutely offer additional support to any formalized mental health services that a child or an adolescent might be receiving. It also can offer a tremendous opportunity for developing a healthy foundation even on their own if there are no counseling supports that are currently being accessed. So what do we mean by this? Nutrition. What you eat has a very direct and significant impact on your physiology and your biochemistry. So really what we're saying here is the nutrition that you put into your body is going to have a direct influence upon how we physically feel and emotionally feel. Certain foods in particular can have an impact that might even mimic symptoms of anxiety. So foods such as high caffeinated beverages or foods, high levels of sugar, alcohol, and nicotine have all been shown that when we are sort of consuming higher levels can mimic symptoms that actually might be associated with feeling sort of anxious, feeling nervous, and on edge. So being mindful and noticing what we are consuming or what we are putting into our body can have a tremendous impact on our emotional health and well-being. Healthy eating specifically for children and youth, what can this offer our loved ones? Well, it definitely can help with feeling physically better and emotionally better, having more energy for school, work, and play when regular nutrition is available to be accessed. This also can prevent nutritional deficiencies and ensure that we're getting the nutrients that are needed for optimal brain health. If you think about it like this, if your stomach is empty and we're sort of running on fumes, our brain doesn't have the nutrition that it requires to be able to do the things that it needs to do, or at least being able to do the things that it needs to do at its full capacity. So with a full stomach, with proper nutrition, our brain is just better equipped to help our body and our emotions be operating at their optimal efficiency. Nutrition also plays an impact on the ability to stabilize mood and enhance sports and academic performance as well too. As well, nutrition can have a huge impact on lowering the risk of depression. So some of the newest research has also found that a better diet, a healthier diet, can result in better mental health because our body and our mind are absolutely connected. Here are some quick tips for healthy eating. We would encourage you to try and eat more fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and whole grains, and really wanting to aim for a balance of a variety of foods over the month. Rather than worrying about labels such as good versus bad, remember that moderation is the key. Always drink lots of water if possible and wanting to eat mindfully. So listening to our body signals and cues, it will let us know when we're full or if we happen to be hungry. A great resource is referring to the Canada's Food Guide, which can allow us for some guidance around potential food and nutrition that we might want to introduce to our family's meals. Nourishing your body throughout the day and avoiding skipping meals is always strongly encouraged. And even if a child or youth states that they may not necessarily be hungry, we want to encourage family mealtime if possible and access to regular snacks. A loss of appetite is incredibly common when you have a loved one who is struggling with mental health support. If there's resistance that continues to meals, or you continue to have concerns regarding the appetite of your child or nutritionally what is actually getting into their body, please follow up with your family physician for further support as needed. Exercise and physical activity. To help children as well as our youth develop habits that are going to last a lifetime across the lifespan and into adulthood, an active and healthy lifestyle often is needing to start early in life. So what can this look like? Physical activity has benefits at every age and stage and helps children and youth alike. It helps to keep our heart and lungs strong and healthy, helps our body become more flexible, it helps us to develop strong bones, and it lowers the risk of several diseases and health problems. Physical activity has also been shown to help improve mood as well as increase self-esteem and helps us to focus better in school as well too. What we recommend for children as well as adolescents is at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity activity every single day. So an hour a day if possible. Anything that is going to help to strengthen muscle and bone 3 times a week is also advised. Children and youth learn from their caregivers, so modeling regular physical activity can be incredibly important. Sleep. Sleep is absolutely a part of a healthy foundation for the promotion of mental health and wellness. And we have found that experiences of sleep deprivation or having disrupted sleep can absolutely influence the ability to concentrate during the day, can have an impact on our mood, and also increase the likelihood of feeling relatively anxious or nervous. How much sleep is actually needed? Even though adults are able to get away on average with about 8 hours of sleep a night, infants and toddlers often sleep more than 12 hours, and children, more often than not, are usually needing upwards of 10 hours of sleep in an evening. Teenagers often require lots of sleep, sometimes 9 hours or more at a time, in order for their brain, in order for their body to be able to be operating at an optimal state. Sleep routines. So, how can we promote and support the likelihood that our loved one is going to have the best quality sleep possible? We want to develop bedtime rituals and routines before bed that can go a long way to help our body and our brain get prepared for a quality sleep. Bedtime rituals are incredibly impactful and they can be benefit far beyond the infant years. This allows an opportunity for a child, youth, or an adult to be able to recreate this ritual every evening, even if the caregiver is not present. We can write this bedtime routine out, we can have charts, we can have storybooks, and what it also does is it allows the opportunity for the child or the adolescent to begin to soothe themselves and to be able to wind down and settle in for sleep for the evening. When we think about sleep routines, especially for very young children, letting children crying themselves to sleep is traditionally not recommended. And again, this comes back to the reality that often our children and loved ones are needing support from caregivers to help them regulate emotions. Self-soothing independently, especially for young children, is not often available to them based upon brain age and stage. Limited time in bed. So we want to increase the chances that we have a good quality sleep at night by limiting how much time is spent in bed when they are not sleeping. So we would recommend not laying in bed during the daytime hours, using bed solely for sleep purposes only, not necessarily being in bed watching television or doing their homework in bed. We really want the brain to make that association that sleep and the bed go hand in hand and for nothing else. When we think about sleep routine, we also encourage if bedtime, so the time that they're going to sleep and the time that they're waking up, roughly can be the same time most days. So we might have a set schedule from Monday to Friday. We might have a little bit of variation on weekends, of course, and that's totally okay. But if we can aim to have consistency roughly with waking at the same time, Monday to Friday, can help just make and increase the chances that our sleep patterns stay relatively the same. It's also definitely easier to enforce a waking time than it is a bedtime. So if we're able to maintain roughly waking up at the same time each morning, it increases the chances that our child or our loved one is more likely to fall asleep around an earlier time in the evening as well. Daily routines that can help with sleep. Again, having the same wake up time can go a long way, and avoiding drinks with caffeine, so soda, hot chocolate, coffee, can definitely reduce the chances of difficulties falling asleep as well. Sleep environment can have a really strong influence as well too. If we're able to reduce things such as background noises, the location of the bedroom, if feasible within the house, family members necessarily sharing beds or sharing space, as well as Considerations such as comfortable bedding, favorite toys that they might have access to, the lighting, and reducing screen usage before bed, as well as temperature of the bedroom, can have a positive impact. In general, if we are able to aim for a place that is cool, dark, and quiet, this tends to be the most optimal setting to encourage healthy sleep. We would really encourage, if possible, to make the bed in the bedroom area a sleep only zone. So removing things such as television and games and computers from the bedroom to make the environment itself optimal for sleep can go a long way. Anything that happens to have a screen associated with it when viewing or watching directly before bedtime has shown to have an impact on the ability to fall asleep as quickly as possible. And some children can even activate the brain and just make it harder for them to settle in. So if we're able to reduce any sort of screen exposure anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour before bed, this is also part of a healthy sleep hygiene. If your loved one is struggling with falling asleep, here are some simple tips and tricks that might make falling asleep a little bit easier. Social interaction, so contacts with caregivers, things such as eating too closely before going to bed, and availability of interesting toys, electronics can encourage a child to stay up a little bit later than usual. So having realistic limit setting, and as well as reducing the chances of attention sort of getting behaviors at night can help increase the chances that our loved one is able to maintain going to bed at that same time each evening. We also would encourage, considering things such as any medical problems that might be present. So this can be things such as allergies, asthma, or conditions that might cause pain. Absolutely, these can disrupt sleep, and this should be discussed further with your family physician to talk about potential supports that might help this. Waking up at night can sometimes be a habit that can be broken with lots of patience. We would want to encourage, again, praising your child for successful nights where they're able to make it through the entire night, which tends to be much more effective than any sort of punishment or consequences that might be associated if they're unable to sleep through the evening. Digital media and screen time. So what is the right amount of screen time for your child? This is a very common question. In general, young children especially tend to learn best from face-to-face interactions with other adults or caregivers. And it's best to keep screen time at a minimum if possible. For children under the age of 2, screen time is actually not recommended based upon brain development. For children between the ages of 2 and 5, it has been encouraged to limit routine on regular screen time to less than an hour per day if possible. Why should I limit my child's screen time? Very often, screen time can be a lost opportunity for your loved one to be able to learn in real life, in real time. So from interacting with others and playing outdoors, the ability to create and enjoy social downtime with family. In today's world, managing screen time is absolutely an ongoing challenge. And setting shared family limits at an early age can help us with the navigation of reducing screen time and reducing digital media. Too much screen time also increases the likelihood that a child might have sleep deprivation, especially if they're on screen time into the evenings or while in bed. It can also have an influence on being less school ready, and it also can have an impact on inattentiveness, or even depending upon what is sort of being watched on screen time, potentially aggressive behaviors or less ability to self-soothe big emotions when they show up. Also, with increased rates of screen time, there is naturally reduced physical activity, which we know can have a really strong and positive foundation overall for the promotion of mental health and wellness. So how can we go about setting realistic expectations at home regarding screen time? So setting limits when children are young is always much easier to introduce versus cutting back when they are older. As a family, if possible, being able to agree on basic rules that everyone understands and shares. We could even develop a family media plan to guide each other on when, how, and where screens can and can't be used. Here's some examples of what a family media plan may look like. Caregivers can be great role models using their own devices and managing how much time they are spending on their devices at hand as well too. If we're able to turn off devices at meal times or reading with our child or doing things together as a family, this is a wonderful way of promoting alternative to screen time usage. Turning off screens when no one is using them, especially background TV, can be effective as well. Avoiding using screens for at least 1 hour before bedtime and keeping screens out of a child's bedroom can also be of great benefit due to the fact that it does tend to interfere with sleep. Choosing healthy activities like reading, being outside, engaging in outdoor play, and crafts over screen time is also a wonderful way to promote activities that help to support our mental health and wellness. Now, some common caregiver questions. If you happen to have any questions or concerns associated with your child's eating habits or sleeping habits, please follow up with your family healthcare provider. Again, each body is unique and there is never one size fits all when it comes to healthcare. So please talk to your primary healthcare provider who can develop a more customized and specialized plan to help support your loved one. When we're making changes at home, especially to considerations around screen time, this is often a difficult thing for children or youth to be able to accept. And it's not uncommon at all that we might even experience frustration and anger towards caregivers when these changes are being introduced or recommended. Sometimes what can happen to sort of soften the blow of changes that will be happening at home is through the validation of emotion. So essentially, giving our loved one permission to experience that frustration, to experience that disappointment, to experience that anger around the changes to screen time usage that might be occurring. We can absolutely validate and give them permission to have those emotions. And for younger children, especially, redirect them to non-screen time related options that they might be able to use instead. Again, any sort of sudden changes to behaviors and expectations within the home, it is very much normal to have some pushback from your loved one. Making these changes early on, especially in our childhood years into early adolescent years, can have a lasting impact on habits, routines, and behaviors, not only into adolescence, but across our adulthood years as well.